Hey, there we are live on Winning Rolls. So what winning role do you need to play this weekend? You need to play master caller or a winning or a successful closing caller or real estate winner. You know, that's what you should be. And guys, when's the most important time to use an affirmation and to snap into the right role? Remember, an affirmation, the right affirmation triggers the right role. So if you want to feel like master closing caller, powerful communicator. If you want to play roles like that and feel that kind of confidence, you got to think of some good affirmations and along with gestures that trigger those roles. So if you say, I am a master caller with a big smile, you're pumping your fist, that's the affirmation. That's a great affirmation that will snap you into that role. Why is it important this weekend to be a master caller? Because you're going to call leads. You're going to call FSBOs for us. And then you're going to turn them in. And then we're going to close them for you by doing closing calls. Now, this is the best script ever created for calling for sale by owners. It's a one-page script. It's got all the good terms. Everything is built in here, all the right questions, and the form is built in. So you're not like trying to take notes over here and the words are the script's over here. The script is incorporated into the form. So it makes it very easy to use. Now I'm actually going to role play this whole script this morning. You've maybe never gone through the whole script. So I want you to do this. And especially if you're using this for the first time, if you've never called FSBOs before, I want you to call them this weekend using this script from your what to say and what to do system. And you know what? If you don't even, and all you got to do is go on the ourwolfpack.com members website, go into the forms folder and download a whole bunch of FSBO opening calls. FSBO opening calls. That's what this form is called. I also want you to download and print off about at least 20 FSBO call scripts and at least 20 closing call prep sheets. When you are filling out, when you're going through your FSBO script, you see there's not a lot of room on this page to take notes. I do not want notes down the side and squished in here at the bottom. So where do you take your notes? You take them on the closing call prep sheet. And guess what? That's going to prep you to do the closing call or us. So if we're going to do the closing calls for you a week or on Monday night, this is your opportunity. Every couple months we do an event where you guys can turn in leads. We will call your leads for you and try to close your deals for you, and you keep all the profits. You're going to get the best in the country who've been doing live closing calls for over 20 years on stage in front of huge audiences to close your deals for you on Monday night. So I want you to use this FSBO script. If you don't have the FSBO script, you can text or call me. I'm going to put my information in here, okay? And so I want you, and I know Lacey is turning in deals. She told me. So I'm watching for deals from Lacey. I'm also watching from deals from you, and I want you to use this script. Now, I will take any form you've got. In fact, anything, a scrap of paper with a seller's name and phone number on it, and an address. I mean, I can even work with that. But now if you've talked to them and you have any kind of rapport built, obviously, we're going to be able to do a lot better. My main hopes for you with this script is you find out whether or not they're open to taking monthly payments, and you build a little rapport. They get to know you a little bit. They like you. So if we step in to make the closing call on Monday night, and write this down, we're making these calls, and I want you to, when you talk to your sellers, tell them my partner from Arizona, and they have a 480 area code. My partner from Arizona, Lynette is going to call you on Monday night between 7 and 8 Eastern time, or in that ballpark. So please pick up the phone. That's our biggest challenge on these live closing call nights, is getting people to pick up the phone. So I want you to, alert your seller Monday night between 7 and 8 Pacific time, between 4 and 5 roughly Pacific time, and like 7 to 8 Eastern time. Okay, so tell them to be ready for that call. Now we are going to call them, and you can turn in this script or whatever. And yes, if it's a little filled out, that's awesome. Now this script again is the FSBO calling script. In there, you can also call landlords and realtors, and there's all kinds of other opening calls. But FSBOs are the ones where we can talk to the seller and work out a deal right there on the phone. Okay, we can't do that with, well, we can do that with landlords as well. If you know some landlord, if you've been talking to some landlord and they've got some properties they're interested in divesting from, and you want a pro, talking to that landlord and showing them that you guys are the top of the top and you really understand the business, I would be open to you sending us a landlord lead as well. Just give us the information. Okay, any notes you have, and that's important. Where do your notes go? Closing call prep sheet. So if you're going to turn in leads, what I'd love to see is have this form here filled out, take a picture of it or scan it, send it to us. Same thing with a closing call prep sheet. Ideally, you've got this and a closing call prep sheet attached to it. Okay, so now where do you send this? Guys, do you know where to send them? Now you can text us. What I want you to do is email. It's usually easier to get on email. Now, if you email it to us, I absolutely want you to follow up with text, because we get a lot of emails and sometimes stuff goes to spam, and you know how that is. So I don't want to miss, especially such an important email like this, where you're giving us hot leads to call. So again, wolfcouple@gmail.com for emailing us leads. And then I'm going to give you the phone number to call to text me to make sure that I know that you sent leads. And this is how I'll know. So as soon as you text me, then I will go and check the email and grab your leads, download them, and we'll call them on Monday night. Now, after we call them, if we get a hold of them, if they pick up, we will give you an update on, on Thursday, or no, we will call them on Monday. So we'll give you an update on what happened, or if there's an appointment, and hopefully we're going to have an appointment. That's the goal. What's the goal of doing this call and then the closing call? The goal of the closing call is to have the 4 deal points negotiated. That's purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment. Negotiate those 4 deal points, and also have set the deal meeting appointment. When are you going to go out and look at the house? Okay, so that would be an ideal closing call. So if you want to get good at this business, I'm telling you right now, get good at 1 2.5 page script. It's called the seller financing closing call. If you get good at that one script, 2.5 pages, called the seller financing closing call, and this FSBO script, you will be good at the business. You will be good on the phone. You'll be able to say, I'm a master caller. Okay, you'll be able to play that role, that winning role of great caller, great phone, great on the phone. Okay, so let's go through the FSBO opening call. So I want you to say hi. So you're calling them out off of their ad. They're advertising for sale by owner on Zillow. Zillow is a good place to find these. Craigslist, FSBO.com, ForSaleByOwner.com. There's a lot of places to find FSBOs. If you just type in for sale by owner and then your city, it'll give you a whole bunch of sources. But obviously, you're going to start at Zillow and Craigslist. So it says, hi, I'm calling about buying your house. Always buying your house. Don't let them think you might be a realtor. So, hi, I'm calling about buying your house. Is it still for sale? Now, I want you to get some yeses early on. So when you say, is it still for sale? 95% probability it's still for sale. So they're going to say yes. That's good. The seller just said yes to you. All right. Do you see how we're setting a pattern already? Hi, I'm calling about buying your house. Is it still for sale? Yes. Great. I'm Brian. And what's your name? And so get their name. Now, if their name is in the Zillow ad, you can say, is your name Dolores? And they'll say yes. Now, there's part, fill in from the Zillow ad. Do not ask them these questions, like the address, the phone number. The phone number, the address, you just called it. And over here in this little box, you see bedrooms and bathrooms, square footage, and year built. That's helpful in that little box. That's why I put it in a little box. It's helpful to just be able to glance at that and know those things about the house. Those are key pieces of information. Year built and size, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. Then you say, so I see your asking price is, and then whatever it says in Zillow, whatever their asking price is, and then you write it in there, and you can write your comps and stuff in there. So then you say, what kind of shape is the house in? Does it need repairs? And so then find out if it's in great shape or if it just needs a little cosmetic repairs. What's the deal with the house? That's an opportunity for you to build a little rapport there, possibly whatever their answer is. So when would the house be available? Do you know when you're moving? Now that's a key question to know to test their motivation level. So again, so when would the house be available? Do you know where you're moving? And so sometimes they know and sometimes they don't know. And if they don't know, sometimes they'll say, we actually have to find a place before we can close with this house. And that changes the complexion of the deal. So it's good to know that. And then you say, okay, great. We're definitely interested in buying your house. Just so you know a little bit about us. And that's when you build your rapport. That's when you say your bio, we buy and sell houses all around. And for sure, somewhere in your bio, it's going to say we buy and sell houses all around the area. Okay, that's important. So, but then you're going to, after you say your little bio, ending with, we buy and sell houses all around the area, you're going to say, now when we buy and sell houses all around the area, it's right in the script. Now, when we buy an ugly house, a distressed house that needs a lot of work, we usually pay cash for the repairs. I want them to know you're not some kind of, shifty investor with no money who's just trying to get these weird nothing down deals. I want them to know that you have resources, you have money. When you buy distressed houses, you use money, and that's how you would do it. But with your house, and that's where it says, now with a nicer house like yours, so you're even giving them a little compliment, in good condition, the way we would work it is we buy it on monthly payments. So you never say we buy it with seller financing. We buy it subject to. That's just going to freak them out. The easiest way to explain this is monthly payments. Everybody understands monthly payments. So the way we would buy it is on monthly payments. So we'd pay, so we buy the house now, agree to top price with no hassles or inspections. Then we close whenever you want. Doesn't that sound good? Then we close whenever you want. Doesn't that sound good? All right, so let's see. And that's the biggest, you're hanging on that answer there, because they're basically going to say yes or no, whether they would be open to doing any kind of monthly payments. Some of them, as soon as the words come out of your mouth, monthly payments, they'll say, no, I can't do that. I need all my cash right away. Okay, and most of them probably can't do monthly payments. There's a lot more who will say no to monthly payments that will say yes. So you got to find that 1 in 5 or 1 in 10, or depending on your lead source and how hot your leads are, you got to find, that 1 in 10. So, but if you're making 10 calls a week to sellers, and you get 1 out of 40, you'd only have to get 1 out of 40. You'd be doing 1 deal a month, and that's going to make you rich inside of 2 years. So the numbers are on your side if you just make enough calls. All right. So now you say, and then we close whenever you want. Doesn't that sound good, Bob? It even says name there. Now, what if they say no? They say no, you say, okay, some people do need their cash out right away. We usually buy from sellers who want to make more money from the sale since there's no commissions and we pay all the closing costs. Could you maybe just give us a year or 2 to pay you off? Okay, so you're just seeing if this thing has a heartbeat at all. And if they hesitate there, if they say, well, you're paying all the commissions, there's no commissions, you're paying all my closing costs, all of a sudden it's a second shot. I don't want you to just say, oh, no, okay, bye. I want you to at least get in there for a second try. But if they say yes, what do you say? You say, okay, great. A lot of times it does work out best by doing something with payments. So do you own the house free and clear, or do you have a mortgage on it? And if they have a mortgage on it, then you're going to collect the mortgage information. If they say yes, you say, and approximately how much is owed on that? See, now the way we ask that, we get the mortgage information almost every time, because you say, this is really artfully put, guys. We used to have a big battle over getting this mortgage information, but now with this few lines in here, we get it almost all the time. A lot of times it does work out best by doing something with payments. So do you own the house free and clear, or do you have a mortgage on it? They're usually pretty cool with telling you that. You can tell that just by looking at the house situation. But then you say, and approximately how much is owed on that? And you've even got that word and, so it's just part of your last question that they already answered. Okay, so you get the mortgage information, you write it in there, and then the next part. So you were asking $155,000. Do you possibly have any wiggle room on that price? Now, I don't want you to go hard on the price, Adam, because a lot of times we advertise full price for your house, and the purchase price is the least important of all the 4 deal points. down payment, monthly payment, and length of term are all more important than the purchase price. So don't get hung up on the purchase price, but I do want you to see if maybe they have some wiggle room. So do you have any wiggle room on that price? And then if yes, you say, so how much do you think? What would be the best you could do? And then, if they say, no, I have no wiggle room, then you say, that's fine. Like we say in our social media, when we work it out, we pay full price. Just a couple of last things now. Is the house listed? Make sure it's not listed through an agent. And is it vacant, rented, or do you live in it? So guys, you may already know that, so you may not have to ask those questions if it's clear from your conversation, the answers. Don't ask these if they already answered them. Don't re-ask questions you know the answers to. Okay, so what's the best time? And then this is if somebody else is making the calls for you. So what's the best time my boss or partner could call you back? And they get that information. Other than that, guys, if you've gotten positive responses from this, that's where I want you to transition right into the closing call. That's why you should have that seller financing closing call script sitting right there. So if they're giving you the right answers, if they said, yes, we could do monthly payments, get this out of here and get into the closing call, right? But this is gold. These things are gold to you, these sheets. Every one you fill out is another shot at getting some massive deal that could make you $100,000 over the course of the deal. We've literally made hundreds of thousands of dollars on certain deals, and they all just started with this little sheet of paper. Okay, so this is really gold to you. Let's make a bunch of calls and then let us follow up. Let me and Lynette, guys, it's usually Lynette. It depends. If we're talking to a landlord or a lawyer, I'm probably going to get on the phone because I'm a little more detailed. I'm a little more patient. If it's someone who has a hearing problem, a little older person, that's usually me. Lynette is go, go, go. She's a deal maker. I'm more of a good shepherd. Do you see? And we talk about role control and winning roles. You play different roles on the closing call. You can play deal maker like Lynette. She's in there negotiating away. I play more good shepherd, and I'm just kind of leading them through this sometimes difficult, challenging, anxiety-producing process of selling their house. So you can see how you can sort of approach it a little bit differently, but we're always trying to help the seller and do win-win-win deals for everybody. That's all about winning roles. Okay, so I see you guys have some questions. Again, make sure you're sticking to these great scripts. Yay, Lacey. I know, Lacey, you're going to turn in leads for sure. Guys, again, turn them in over the weekend. If we can have a little time to look at them, it's better. But we're calling them on Monday night. So you literally have, up to lunch on Monday where you could probably send them in. Duplex in Rock Island, Illinois. All right. 2 new units. Okay. Yeah, send these in, guys. Send anything you got. And I love notes. I love notes. If you have conversations with the seller, write all the notes you can remember. And I even do something called verbatim notes, which means it's exactly what the seller said. Now, if the seller says specifically, I guess I could come down to 150. That's a lot different than saying, yes, I'll do 150. Or, so if they say something like that it's how they say it is important. I want you to actually put it in quotation marks and say, seller said, yes, I guess I could do 150, and put a little quotation marks around it so I know that's exactly what the seller said. That's good for your own notes. You'll be able to say, oh, in all these notes, what did the seller say exactly word for word? And here's another good tip, guys. It's a neuro-linguistic programming tip. Something that they say, especially if they seize on a little bit of an unusual word, repeat that word, okay? If they fixate on the word no discount, I'm not going to give you any discount on this house because it's in perfect condition. Okay. Well, then you repeat what they said. Oh, we're not looking for any discount. Not say to get off of the full price thing. They like thinking about it in their terminology. Use their terminology, repeat their terminology back to them. Okay. That's a good little tip for you guys when you're making your opening calls and closing calls. So happy Friday, Nolan, Kathy. Good job. You guys are going to send me leads too, I hope. So everybody, guys, I will take all the leads you want to send. Literally, we had one student send us 60 leads, but he was at the event. That was very unusual because these are mostly newbies at this event. So they are scared to pick up the phone even for FSBOs, whereas you guys are a little more experienced. So that's why we count on you to send us some great leads that we can close on Monday night. So remind your sellers after you do your FSBO call using your FSBO script, or anything. Guys, if you have leads on another form, I'm okay with that. If you've got some VA who's doing your calls and they use a different form, that's fine. This is the best form for FSBO calling. If you can get your VA to use this form, get them to use this form. But if they're using some other form, turn in whatever form you got. I'm totally fine with that. Hey, Caleb made it here. Good job, Caleb. Hey, Caleb, I went through the entire FSBO script and I did a role play. So this is really a good one to watch back. You guys, if you're tuning in a little bit late, I want you to watch back on that role play of that FSBO script. Great coaching, Brian. Yes. Always be complimentary with your sellers and everybody in your life. Compliments are the best. That's one of the most powerful forms of communication. Tell people, there's a quote by Thomas Carlyle, tell a man he is brave and you help him to become so. So give people compliments when they do something good and they'll even do it better. They'll do it more. That's a good tip. Charles, good morning. Okay, guys, have a great weekend, but I want you to have fun this weekend, but also get busy and call some FSBOs and turn them in and watch this one back, guys. You guys who are tuning in late, watch this one back and watch that role play and take all the tips I've got. I even read the no answers and everything this time, so you really get a good feeling for that script. And that is the most powerful script for calling FSBOs, hands down, anyone's ever written, and I got no hesitation to say that. All right, so guys, let's do it. So I'm calling FSBOs. That's our affirmation for today. I'm calling FSBOs. 3 times on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm calling FSBOs. I'm calling FSBOs. I'm calling FSBOs. Yes, call FSBOs, guys, this weekend. All right, 3 deep breaths. Oh, that always feels great. Hold it a little bit and okay, another one. Oh, that feels good. I played pickleball this morning with really good players, and then I had a great workout. One more. But still, the deep breathing always feels awesome. Okay, don't forget, do it 3 times a day, not just with me this one time a day, because it'll invigorate you, and it's better than a Diet Coke, and it's refreshing and invigorating, and it's good in it. It's good for your lymph system. Okay, and will do. All right, guys, so we will see you on Monday. Good job, Charles. You use it on every call. All right, so I'll see you guys on Monday. Look back at the notes. I've got your call, who you send, where you send your FSBO leads, where you email them to. So just use the script and take a picture or scan it. Send us that over the email and then text me. You could send it as a text too, but make sure either way you text me and let me know because sometimes emails go to spam. All right, so let's have a great weekend. Send us FSBOs and I will give you guys all updates next week. Now I might miss Monday because we're in the middle of teaching, so I will miss Monday, but I will see you back on Friday and I'll give you updates on all the leads that you guys turned in. So 1 week from today, big update on all those awesome FSBO leads that I know you guys are going to turn in. All right, so until I see you on a week from today, keep expecting success, getting awesome training from the Wolf Couple, turning in FSBO leads, and